we're celebrating the history of our school and of Collinsville, our town. Most people, when they think of history, think of famous people or days. But I'd like to express a different point of view. I think history begins on a local level with people, places, and events. Let me give you some examples. The first man who lived in Collinsville was named John Cook. 180 years ago, he was the first person to build his cabin, and the cabin was located over near the Brainerd home. The Brainerd home is the 7-story high-rise, boys and girls, and the location was Church and Chestnut. And fortunately for me, I lived 1 block from that house, or it used to be a house. It's no longer there. We celebrate in Collinsville other things than just people. How about an event? How many of you go to the Italian Fest each year? That is going to be history someday, because all of us go now, and that may continue another 50 or 60 years, and when you boys and girls grow up and have children of your own, you could say, I remember when the Italian Fest first began. And who could ever forget, if you've been watching the last year, have you all noticed the ketchup bottle? Isn't it beautiful? Well, fortunately today, we have the person here who's responsible for that, and I'm going to introduce her to you in just a few minutes. This afternoon, Mr. Buell and Mr. Sperino from the Historic Museum are going to present the slides to you. And all the slides are of Collinsville. Some of them show people, some of them show buildings, and there's a few places in there. So they did a great job of putting this together, and I saw this program 2 months ago, and I said, I think the boys and girls at Webster would love to see this. So I'm going to make a couple introductions, and then we'll get started. First, let's have Mr. Sperino stand. He's back there with the... Mr. Sperino runs the museum in the library, and there's a lot of historical memorabilia, all kinds of things that you could see if you decide to go over there with your teachers in the basement of the library. Also, doing the narration today on the slides is Mr. Ken Buell. Ken is recently retired, but he consented to do this program for us today. And believe it or not, boys and girls, both gentlemen who I just announced, Mr. Sperino and Mr. Buell, attended Webster School, one in 1935 and the other in 1948. I like things in threes. Therefore, the next person I'm going to introduce to you, is our superintendent of schools, Mr. Jack Renfro. And what do you think? You think Mr. Renfro also attended Webster School? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Well, we got to stop at 3, because I know this young lady did not attend Webster School. Our last person I'm going to introduce you today, if you've been watching the last year, I just referred to this before about the ketchup bottle. This person, who I'd like to stand in just a second, is responsible for preserving our ketchup bottle. If it hadn't been for this person, the ketchup bottle would probably be in a scrapyard somewhere. But because of her efforts and others, we now have the ketchup bottle. And you can see it every day from our playground. We're close enough that you can look over there and see that beautiful bottle every day. How many of you have seen it at night? Isn't that impressive to be coming back from the mall or coming from the high school and you're driving up and suddenly you come around that turn and over the bridge and you see it real small, and then as you get to the stoplights, there it is, standing there, so majestic. It's so beautiful. I just loved it. I can't believe how cool it is. So the person responsible for that, or getting it started anyway, is Mrs. Judy DeMoisen. I'd like her to stand right now. No, she did not attend Webster School. I think we're ready. How many of you would like to see a slideshow? Let's begin. Gentlemen, are you ready?
Just 13 miles east of the mighty Mississippi River lies the city of Collinsville, Illinois. Located on the bluffs overlooking the fertile American bottoms is this place called Collinsville. It's a good place to live. That's proven by the fact that people have lived here for hundreds of years. Around the year 900, not far from these bluffs, lived the mound builders, the Indian tribes we call the Mississippians, for lack of a better name. Their society flourished and prospered and then mysteriously disappeared. Knowledge of these mound builders and their lifestyle is preserved and studied in the Cahokia Mounds Interpretive Center. It's been said that the Cahokia, one of the sub-tribes of the Illinois, roamed here in later years. It's from one of these later tribes that the mounds take their name, even though they did not build them. The Cahokia tribe has left its influence on the city of Collinsville. For many years, Collinsville High School has adopted the name Quahog, and Chief Quahog has been the symbol of the school. Where then, back in time, did Collinsville begin? Take a good look at this giant white oak tree. This magnificent tree was growing here before George Washington was born. It's still sturdy and strong as it grows on East Church Street. It's called the bicentennial tree. Not far from here is where our heritage began. John Cook, born in Germany, came to America while the Revolutionary War was still raging. He settled first in Pennsylvania. Later, he learned that a company was being formed to go west. He arrived in St. Louis and then came to Illinois. Cook built a one-room log cabin on this northeast corner of East Church and Orion Streets in 1810 and began clearing the forest. He was a squatter until 1814, when he was able to purchase the land. The land grant issued to John Cook by President Adams is on display in the Collinsville Historical Museum. Along with the land grant is displayed the German-made gun that was used by John Cook in those early days. No doubt John wore handmade buckskin clothing, and a coonskin cap was typical attire for those frontier days. The Collins brothers came here in 1817 and purchased the cabin of John Cook and other land around it. This is a picture taken in 1938 of the old Collins home, built in 1822 by the Collins brothers for their parents who were still in Connecticut, New England. The house stood on Church Street at Aurora until it was razed in the 1960s. This is the site of the old Collins home as it appears today, having been replaced by these modern apartments. Directly across the street on Aurora stands the Brainer home, often referred to as the high-rise by local residents. This is one of the tallest buildings in the community. Before the Brainer building, this Italianate-style house was designed and built for Dr. Henry Wing in 1865. It stood on this site and was home also to the Look and Dilliard families. William Burridge Collins was the last of the brothers to live in the village and occupy the original Collins homestead. He began the planting of the land, but died suddenly at age 33 of typhus fever, leaving the planting of the land to his widow, Elizabeth Wilt Herzog Collins. A short distance from the site of the old Collins homestead, west on Church Street, is Reed Avenue. At the end of the rolling street are the railroad tracks. In 1862, the St. Louis, Vandalia, and Terre Haute Railroad was organized, and trains began chugging through Collinsville. Just a short distance up the hill was the Beidler Hotel, pictured here. Angeline Penny Beidler ran the boarding house, serving delicious chicken dinners as her specialty. She ran for the school board before women could vote and made a 2-week trip to Washington, D.C. to plead with President Abraham Lincoln for the release of her hospitalized husband during the Civil War. The house still stands today and is being restored to its past glory. Mrs. Beidler, even though she lost in the school board election, showed great determination and confidence that set an example for women in Collinsville. Just a short walk of a block and a half is the site of the First Presbyterian Church on the corner of Church Street and Morrison Avenue. It's the oldest church in continuous existence in Madison County. In 1843, a frame building was erected on this site, the property being donated by William Collins. This brick structure in the picture was dedicated in 1884. This is the First Presbyterian Church as it looks today. This structure replacing the 1884 building. William Burridge Collins was an elder of the church in his time and superintendent of the Sunday school. Just 1 block going west on Church Street. If you turn left on Center Street, you'll find the peaceful land of Glenwood Cemetery. William B. Collins had chosen the site, and the first burial was in 1822. Here rest the founders and many prominent people of Collinsville. Coming back on Center Street, we find Webster School, built in 1914. It was built a few years before World War I and has withstood the years very well. This is Webster School as it appears today. You'll notice how the windows have been changed over the years. Behind Webster School, when it was built in 1914, stood the Collinsville Public School, which had been built in 1872. It was connected to the new school by a second-floor metal bridge. Children of that day competed with their teachers for the privilege of dusting erasers from the lofty perch. The 1872 Collinsville Public School was built to replace one destroyed by fire. It was built during the term of office of Mayor John Becker, who became Collinsville's first mayor in 1872. In 1914, it was still being used as an elementary school. John Becker built this house at 237 North Clinton Street for his bride in 1864. The windows are 8.5 feet high on the first level. The house has been restored and is still in good condition. The 1872 school had at one time been used as a high school. It's long since gone, and this high school on Vandalia Street was built in 1908. It bore the title Collinsville Township High School. Down through the years, additional wings were added to the high school, and its appearance changed by different windows. We now have a new high school on South Morrison Avenue. The building pictured here on Vandalia Street is now Collinsville Christian Academy. Directly across Church Street from Webster School is City Hall. It was erected in 1885 and is still being used today. Collinsville had grown with the Industrial Revolution that was sweeping the country. The first coal was mined in Madison County in 1840, and Collinsville soon became a mining area. In 1888, Main Street had sidewalks, and the business district became a downtown in reality. Directly across from City Hall is our current post office. It stands on the site that was once Temperance Hall, and later the Gowan Lumber Company. Prior to this present building, the post office was in a tan brick building built in 1914 on Clay Street, which is now the Unit 10 School District office. This picture shows the site of the post office in 1905, after it was moved from City Hall. In 1825, residents petitioned U.S. Postal Headquarters for a post office under the name of Unionville. But because there already was a Unionville post office in Illinois, the name was changed to Collinsville. The first post office was in Augustus Collins General Store. We have spent some time trotting in the footsteps of our village fathers who concentrated their living on and around Church Street. But we remember that Elizabeth Wiltshire Collins planted the early village. It's only a couple of blocks to East Main Street. Here, standing where Chestnut Street intersects, we can see Main Street as it appeared in the 1930s. Brick towers flank the buildings on the left and to the right, and the old St. Nicholas Hotel is on the corner to your right. Towers, brick cappings, and stone cornices were popular in the architecture of the late 1890s, early 1900s. This tower on the corner of East Main and Chestnut is the only one left today. If we learn to look up as we walk down the main street of Collinsville, we can still find the remnants of our heritage preserved on some of these older buildings. In this picture, we can see on our right that the St. Nicholas Hotel was taken over by the Eagles Lodge. The St. Nicholas Hotel building has now been raised to make room for the beautiful new Collinsville Township building. The Township building on the corner of East Main and Vandalia Streets is indeed an asset. Today, as we stand at Main and Vandalia and look north, this is the view we see. That view has changed from the past. The same view in the year of 1898 shows a gathering of people, horses, and wagons on June 2nd called Champion Day. It seems the Champion was a brand name for farm equipment. Notice that the windows on the side of the building on your left have not changed. The spire of the Catholic Church can be seen in the background, like a finger pointing to heaven. The heritage of the St. Peter and Paul Catholic Church parish dates back to 55. Collinsville was just a village when Dr. Octavius LeMaggie and a small group of Catholics made plans to build the first church. 1 year after the railroad was operating, Dr. LeMaggie sank LeMaggie Coal Mine Number 1. The structure in this picture replaced the original in 1880. The Catholic school on the right was completed in 1895. This is the St. Peter and Paul Catholic Church as it looks today. The 1880 structure being replaced by this modern church building. There is a new school directly behind the church. This view of today is from Main Street, looking north and more. Home furniture is on your left, and the colonial-style UMB Bank building is on your right. This view, taken in the early 1900s, shows a gathering on Main Street in front of the Yates Ambrosius store, which is now Home Furniture Company. Notice the extensive use of wrought iron balconies on the second floors. The Herald office is on the second floor, and the Collinsville Bank is the third building west. Directly catty-corner from the street, from the Yates Ambrosius store, on the corner of Main and Morrison, is the Commercial Hotel. Fire had destroyed the third floor. Fire escapes in the building were merely knotted ropes about an inch thick that were anchored and thrown out the windows. Family-style chicken dinners were served in the dining room for 25 cents. Notice the drugstore sign over the corner. That corner housed Flynn's Drugstore and later Irving's Drugstore. This is the Commercial Hotel building as it looks today. The third floor has been removed and the front of the building restyled and modernized. Looking up, you can see that the second floor windows remain the same. Old washstands found in the building bore the Yates Ambrosius label. The Collinsville Bank building next to Yates and Ambrosius across the street has been remodeled in the early 1900s, as this picture shows. Notice the heavy use of stone. Butterfield Jewelry Store and Bridal Shop. Now occupy the old First National Bank building. It still retains its charm, and the second floor bridal shop shows the glorious columns and vaulted ceiling. The second First National Bank building was put up in 1929. The brick terracotta structure was completely recovered with red brick and colonial-style woodwork in the late 1960s. The bank is presently owned by the United Missouri Bank, and this is as it appears today. A short walk going west on Main Street, you'll discover the Bull Durham tobacco sign. This is on the wall of the building that formerly housed Home Federal Building and Loan. The long-lost advertisement was discovered when Leo Heiken Furniture was demolished to make way for a parking lot. Directly across the street at 106 East Main is QVC Framing and More. This building still retains its charm with its original wrought iron balcony, its large windows and double entrance doors. The sign etched in the bricks on the top of the building reads Cash Store. The original colors of the paint have been restored. As we reach the corner of Main Street and Center, we find the Central Bank. This structure was built in 1916 as the State Bank of Collinsville. Over 100 years ago, William Cook established the first publicly owned and state-supervised local bank. This is the State Bank as it appeared when it was first built. There's a lot of physical integrity to this building. This street scene looking east on Main Street shows on your left the northwest corner of Main and Center. Here you see the original State Bank building with elaborate cornice, imposing tower and corner entrance. Catty-corner across the street is the imposing 1916 building made of marble with great columns. In this 1926 picture, Redmond Brothers Furniture Store occupies the old bank building. The corner entrance has been moved. Illinois Bell Telephone Company was located on the second floor. Gleck's department store was the last. The second floor windows have been sealed off, but they are still behind the stucco outer finish. This column house at 621 West Main Street was originally built on the Gleck's site at Main and Center Streets. It was then moved down the street several blocks to its present location. Daniel Dove Collins built the home for his bride when he first arrived in Collinsville. In 1850, Judge Daniel Dove Collins was chosen as the first judge. He was not related to the Collins family who founded the community. He also served as a member of the Board of Education and an associate Madison County judge. A block down Main Street to Main and Clinton gives us the opportunity to view this 1920s scene. The Commercial Club is having a gala parade. Notice the second story on the corner building on your left, and also the streetcar tracks. This is that same location today. The building on the left, now Simon Jewelers, no longer has a second story. Facades have been changed. Corner and roof cappings that were so ornamental have been removed or concealed. Times change, so do the building styles. Across the street, catty-corner from Simon's, stands one of the most beautiful and ornate buildings in Collinsville. Dedicated in 1918, the Miners Theater, actually called the Miners Institute Building, stands as a symbol of dedication and commitment of all the coal miners of Collinsville. Look up and you will see how the exterior is flashed and faced with hydraulic brick, terracotta trim at the corners and frescoed with stucco. The windows have stone ledges of Indiana limestone, and the theater marquee was a marvelous work of iron with glass panels. These statues of miners adorn the entrance. And Pittsburgh and Alfred Bailey posed for these statues. Miners gave a portion of their wages to pay for the building. This is the Miners Theater as it appears today. The lower two facings have been restored and restoration work is being done on the interior. Miners' Wall of Honor is also in the lobby. Next to the Miners Theater is a parking lot. Up ahead, if you look up, you can see the static wall of the building that houses the tobacco and liquor store. You can see the faint outline of a huge advertisement sign painted on the wall. Dimmed by age, it advertises the tobacco of the times. Several windows are bricked shut. Double chimneys top the corner of the steep slanted roof. This building style leans to the German influence of earlier days. Moving across the street, just one door down, stands the Oddfellows building. Like the Institute, is crowned with an elaborate cornice of terracotta with trim at the corners. The lettering proclaims that the local Oddfellows Lodge was instituted August 2nd of 1848. A cornerstone section of lighter brick reads the same. It's interesting to note that the older building was added on to some 40 years later with a much darker brick. The window treatment on the left side is more elaborate. If we hadn't taken the time to look up, we would have missed all of this. Walking down to the corner of Main at Seminary, this is what we see today. A parking lot. The parking lot now replaces the former Western Auto Building, which had previously been Norwine Chevrolet. This view of the same streets was taken on Saturday, October 25th of 1913. It was Potato Day, and farmers and citizens gathered here to sell their potatoes. Quite a difference from the previous picture. If we would turn and gaze down Main Street from west to east, looking from Seminary, this is the scene we would have seen in 1918. A building filled with the architectural flavor of the turn of the century. There's still wrought iron balconies and heavy cornice capping on some of the buildings. The building with the iron balcony on your right is a pharmacy, operated by R.J. Eckert at the time. The building was erected in 1870 and at one time was Gross's Pharmacy. It's the oldest building still in existence on Main Street and now houses Hostile Drug Company. The same scene as it is today with Hostile Drug on the right. The shutters on the second floor are similar to the originals. Other buildings show significant changes. This very old door on the seminary side of the hospital is still in use. It gives an insight to the heritage of Main Street's oldest building. People walk by it every day. How many even know it's there? Let us move on down West Main to the public library. This house, you see, was the Look Renfro property at 408 West Main. It's the same site where the handsome brick library now stands. In 1927, the library purchased the house for a cost of $11,300. A decade later, erection of the center unit of the present library was begun. The central unit was dedicated August 15th of 1937. This is the colonial-style Collinsville Memorial Public Library. Over the years, the central unit was extended with the East Wing in 1963 and the West Wing in 67. Most recently, a fourth-floor addition was added behind the center unit. On the lower level of the library, under the East Wing, you will find the Collinsville Historical Museum. It was founded in 1976 and presents a fine collection of Collinsville historical memorabilia. Displays are changed periodically. Do come and visit the museum. Directly across Main Street from the library are these buildings. They have stood still with time and remain almost as they were in days gone by. They truly show their age but remind us of the past. The red and white checkered structure is a feed store and has been a feed store and even a stable in bygone days. The Willoughby family owned and operated a feed store on this site for many years. If we stay on the same side of the street as the feed store, only a block and a half away, we come to this building at 323 West. The main square apartments. The building has endured extensive remodeling. Notice the brickwork on the right where the original doors and steps had been. In 1912, this original building was constructed by the Chester Knitting Mills. After a strike in 1923, the mill was closed. Crown Military Company was the next occupant of the building. In November of 1926, Forest City Manufacturing Company took it over to manufacture dresses. For years, the building was referred to as the dress factory. Many women worked here. Men were employed in the cutting room. The factory later took the name of Martha Manning. We have completed our tour of some of the primary streets in downtown Collinsville with many thoughts of history and preservation. But the most significant landmark in Collinsville is the Ketchup Bottle Water Tower. It was built by the U.S. Webster Company in October of 1947. It's been beautifully repainted, restored to its original glory, and stands as a symbol of diligence and perseverance for all to see. The next time you're walking in downtown Collinsville, pictures of your heritage are just waiting to be discovered again. May we always remember Collinsville's heritage of yesterday.
Yes. How many gallons of paint did it take to paint the ketchup bottle?
That's an excellent question. Unfortunately, I can't answer it. I think it was pretty close to 80 big buckets that are about this big. It took a lot. We did 4 coats of paint on the bottle, but I need to find out that. That's a good question.
Yes, sir. Was there a Collinsville Herald in the old days?
Yes, if you saw the picture, her home furniture is now that balcony where the men were standing on, that was the Collinsville Herald. And before that, there was a newspaper called Collinsville Advertiser.
Yeah, way back. Right there. How old is the ketchup bottle?
Our ketchup bottle was born in 1947. It's about, I think that's 46 years old or so. But older than that is the site where the bottle is built. It's a factory site from the early 1900s. It used to be the Triumph Ketchup and Pickle factory. So after that, it became Brooks Factory, and they needed to build a water tower to have some water there. So they built the ketchup bottle. I thought that was pretty smart to build the shape of a ketchup bottle when they were producing the ketchup there.
Tricia?
Water? I thought there was ketchup in there. The ketchup bottle water tower is empty today, but at one time it was able to accommodate 100,000 gallons of water. That's a lot of water. 25% of that was for sprinkler for the factory, and the rest of it was for water.
Okay, way in the back.
I like this. The ketchup bottle is 170 feet tall. The tower, the base, the thing that it stands on with all those legs, is 100 feet tall, and the bottle itself is 70 feet tall. Can you guess the diameter of the cap? Can you guess it? Yeah, guess. 60 feet around. 60 feet around. Well, no. The cap itself is 8 feet in diameter. The base of the bottle is 28 feet in diameter, and the total height is 70 feet.
You must really like the ketchup bottle. Yeah. Did the Collins brothers start the first mine?
The first mine was dug down where the old mill used to be in 1857. But the main man who started the mine in Collinsville was Dr. Octavius LeMaggie, and he was one of the founders of the Catholic Church. Do you know who first discovered coal in Collinsville? Do you know Monk's Mound? There was a Trappist monk convent down there, and lightning struck the bluffs, and it began to burn. And when they dug through the fire, they found that the coal had been ignited by the lightning. So the monks were the first to discover coal down in the bottom. Okay?
Okay. How old is Miners Theater? It was built in 1918. You can do the arithmetic, okay? Yes. How long did it take to paint it?
The ketchup bottle, how long did it take to paint it? Well, we started in April, and the weather was really cold and wet and rainy, and we almost had a tornado and a lot of things. They completed the paint job in July, and if you guys want to hear more about the ketchup bottle, I'll come do a real good presentation for you. We'll show you how they went through the process. But it took a couple of months and a lot of people and a lot of work.
Good. What was built at the old Webster School? Do you know? Well, we know there's a miners.
The old Doris School is part of the high school grounds, and that ground was empty before they built the Doris School. But you're asking about the mine subsidence, why the Doris School has been sinking. On Spring Street is a mine called the Bullock Mine. And now when you drive down Lebanon Road, you see where they have reclaimed the hills from the mine. That was another mine, the Maggie Mine. When you mine, you're not allowed to go into the territory of the other mine. But these two mines were very close together, and like pushing your fingers together, one mine passed up the other mine. And both of those mines are underneath Doris School, and that's why it's settling.
Boys and girls, the brochure you're going to get, you're going to pass around when you go back to your rooms. The one that I did, actually Mike Gaskin did it. I gave him some information for it. But he shows both schools here at Webster, and they used to be connected. And I'd like Mr. Scarino to tell a little story about that bridge between the two schools, right? Where our parking lot is now, right? Where the teachers park their cars, that's where the old high school used to stand, and the two schools were connected with a metal bridge. And guess what happened on that bridge?
The old school was built in 1872, and it had those beautiful towers on top, which you'll see in your brochure. And then there was a tornado which struck the towers and knocked them down, so they took the towers off. But when this building was built, the one in the older school, in 1914, it wrapped around this old high school. And that was my grade school when I was in the 4th grade, was that old building. Well, if you were good, the job to dust the erasers was up for grabs. And if your teacher said you could dust the erasers, you could go up on that catwalk and you could dust those erasers and watch the dust fly, and you were on top of the world. So that was a wonderful thing to be chosen to dust the erasers.
Okay, just one or two more questions, okay?
But which one did you take first Webster School did it first all the way to the end, or was there still stuff left over?
Did the first Webster School burn all the way to the ground?
No, in about 4 years after the first Webster School was built, the old building, 1872, when the tornado came, it destroyed the top of the school, and that was finished and rebuilt. But the old Webster School wasn't tore down until 1958, and it stood there a long time. When you walked up the steps, you could feel the old floors creaking and squeaking from all the years that it stood there.
Mr. Renfro, would you like to say anything about when you went to Webster?
Well, that was also a long time ago, but I certainly recall having the honor of cleaning racers on the iron walkway. You were not allowed to play on the iron walkway, only go from one building to the other. And some of us on weekends would climb up there and really have a good time. But I recall my days in the old Webster School with very fond memories of tremendous teaching.
Boys and girls, we're going to have to bring it to a close. Maybe sometime these gentlemen can come back and look at our individual classrooms. And also we can have the young lady back about the ketchup bottle. I think you really enjoyed it. Your questions were just excellent. I'd like to give them another hand.